So, what if I told you that an AI can write better prompts than you? I don't mean just a little bit better. I mean significantly, measurably better. That's exactly what we're talking about today. It's a technique called automatic prompt engineering, and it's all about letting AI figure out how to optimize its own instructions. And honestly, it often blows even expert humans out of the water. Let's dig in. Okay, so on the left, you've got the way we all do it, right? Manual prompting. It's this slow, kind of frustrating cycle of trial and error. You try a prompt, you test it, you tweak it, and eventually you land on something that feels okay. But now look at the right. This is the automated approach. Here, a system just goes nuts, generating hundreds of different prompts, testing every single one against your data. And then it systematically picks the absolute best performer. It's a totally different way of thinking. So, what's the official name for this? It's called Automatic Prompt Engineering, or APE for short. And the core idea is pretty brilliant. You use the large language models themselves to do all the heavy lifting. Instead of you sitting there trying to craft the perfect sentence, the AI generates, tests, and refines prompts all on its own for whatever specific job you need it to do. You know, the best way to think about this is to compare it to chess. A human grandmaster is amazing, right? They use intuition, they see patterns, they have this incredible feel for the game. But at Chess Engine, it doesn't care about any of that. It just systematically explores millions of possible moves, finding these optimal lines of play that a human would never even dream of. AP is the chess engine for prompt writing. It explores this huge space of possibilities to find the winning prompt. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in practice? Let's walk through a super common, real-world task: getting an AI to automatically classify emails as either urgent or not urgent. So, if you or I were to tackle this problem, we'd probably write a prompt that looks something like this. Super simple, very direct. Classify this email as urgent or not urgent. It makes perfect sense, right? It's exactly what most of us would come up with. But how well does it actually work? Well, the results are, yeah, not so great. We're looking at an accuracy of about 65%. I mean, that's a little better than a coin flip, but it means you're still getting it wrong for more than 1 out of every 3 emails. For any kind of real system you want to build, that's just not going to cut it. This is our baseline. Okay, now, check this out. This is the prompt that the AP system came up with on its own. It's so much more detailed, so much smarter. It's not just telling the AI what to do, it's giving it explicit criteria for how to do it. It's telling it to look for things like time-sensitive issues, specific urgent words, or signs of customer frustration. A human might not think to spell all that out. And the difference in performance? Whoa. It's not even close. Our manual prompt is stuck down there at 65%. But the prompt that the AI wrote for itself skyrockets all the way up to 92% accuracy. I mean, this isn't just a small tweak. This is the difference between a failed project and a system that actually works in the real world. Let's just put a number on that. That is a massive 27 percentage point jump in performance. And here's the most important part. This wasn't achieved by a human genius spending weeks tweaking words. This gain happened automatically, just by letting an AI figure out the best way to ask another AI for what it wanted. So, how does it actually do this? Well, the process under the hood is actually very scientific and straightforward. First, you define your task and, crucially, how you're going to measure success. Then, you use an LLM to generate tons of possible prompts. Third, you just systematically test every single one of them against your data. And finally, you pick the winner. It's a clear, repeatable workflow. Now, that basic 4-step process is already super powerful. But for really complex systems, things get even cooler with frameworks like DSPy, which came out of Stanford. DSPy takes this a step further and basically treats prompts like compiled code. You write your logic, what you want the program to accomplish, and DSP goes and figures out the best possible prompts to make it happen. It's like a compiler for prompting. And the payoff for using a framework like this is just huge. For complex workflows, we're talking about an 80 to 90% reduction in the time developers spend manually messing around with prompts. That means you can focus on the actual logic of your application, not the finicky, frustrating art of getting the words just right.
All right, so the big question is, when should you actually use this? Well, APE is pretty much perfect for any production AI system where performance and reliability really, really matter. It's amazing at repetitive tasks, like all kinds of classification. And it's an absolute lifesaver for complex workflows or anytime you're just stuck and your manual prompts aren't getting the job done. But listen, it's not a silver bullet. It's not for everything. You wouldn't spin this up for a quick, one-off task. It's also not the right tool for super creative or subjective things where there isn't a clear right answer. And of course, there's the practical side. If a really simple prompt already works great, or if you just can't afford the cost of making all those optimization calls to the API, then you should definitely stick with the manual way. Now, if you do decide to dive in, just be careful you don't fall into a few common traps. Using a tiny dataset is a big one. It'll give you results you can't trust. Overfitting is another risk, which is when your prompt works great on your test data but fails in the real world. And of course, ignoring the cost can be a painful surprise. But thankfully, the fixes are pretty simple. Use a good amount of data, split it properly for training and testing, and be smart about your budget from the start. You know, it's really important to see this isn't just some new trick. This is a field that's maturing incredibly fast. It started with early ideas around 2020, then the huge APE paper dropped in 2022, followed by powerful tools like DSY in 2023. The trajectory is clear. By 2025, this is going to be standard practice for any serious AI application. This is really the quote that kicked the whole field into high gear. It's from that original 2022 research paper, and it's a bold statement, but they proved it. They said it plain and simple. Large language models are human-level prompt engineers. They figured out that these models have this incredible innate ability to understand how to prompt themselves, often better than we can. So, the big takeaway here is that we're watching a fundamental shift happen. Prompt engineering is growing up. It's moving away from being this mysterious, manual art form that relies on guesswork and intuition. It's becoming a systematic, measurable, and repeatable science. And that really leaves us with one final exciting question to think about. When the tedious, frustrating work of finding the perfect prompt is just automated away, when it's no longer the bottleneck that's holding you back, what new, bigger, and more interesting problems are you going to solve?